Was The Rock turning heel the plan? And have we just been duped? Has this been the plan all along? Was this really a work? Or was it not? Is this a huge pivot? The episode started off with the great one, the People's Champ, showing up in his infamous Ford F-150. I think it's a Raptor. Is that The Rock's actual truck? Did they ship The Rock's truck there? Did The Rock drive his truck all the way from LA to Salt Lake City? That's like a good 17-hour drive. Did he drive all the way up there? Or did they just rent a truck that looks like The Rock's truck? These are the things that I think about, folks. We finally get to the moment that we've all been waiting for. And I cannot believe some of the stuff that they chose to do production-wise at WWE with the end of SmackDown last night. Let's talk about it. Enter the Bloodline. It was about 9:42, I believe, when we come back from commercial break, and Roman Reigns makes his entrance, along with Solo Sikoa, Paul Heyman, and Jimmy Uso. And he says, listen up, Salt Lake City. Tonight we're going to make history when my cousin comes out here. Don't get caught up in his catchphrases. We're going to make history. Okay? So then The Rock comes out. And in the middle of The Rock's entrance, they go to a commercial break. Now, I understand they've got to get that spot break in there. I get it. But why did we waste so much time the rest of the show to where we couldn't have moved the break around a little bit to get The Rock's full entrance and then have The Rock speaking? There was plenty of time in this show where things could have been moved around. Breaks could have been taken earlier. One commercial break could have been taken earlier in a match in order to get the final Bloodline segment all into one thing and not split up by a commercial break. Now you may be thinking to yourself, Aaron, how do you know this? Like, you're not an expert. Listen, I used to work in radio, and if we had to do something where a segment needed to be longer, we just moved one of the breaks up. Now, of course, it would make a section earlier in the show a little bit awkward, maybe if people would even notice, because you would have a shorter segment at some point during that first hour and a half. However, it would mean your last segment could go a full 10 minutes or so, probably. We went to break and The Rock came back and it was like 9:53, I think. I looked at my watch and I said, they're only giving The Rock 5 minutes? All this buildup. Roman Reigns' entrance itself took 4 minutes or so. And they're giving The Rock. We've been waiting for years for this storyline to come around. We've been waiting for years. We've been waiting for, what is it, 11 years since he faced John Cena? We've been waiting for The Rock to come back. And you give him 5, after what happened at the WrestleMania kickoff event last week. We've been waiting to hear for The Rock for 8 days at this. No, about 8 days. And you're going to give him 5 minutes? Who made that choice? I mean, maybe it's that there wasn't that much to say, but it just felt so rushed. And you gave him 5 minutes. You gave The Rock 5 minutes. You had Naomi versus Alba Fire. And you gave The Rock 5 minutes. Zelina Vega versus Tiffany Stratton. You gave it that much time, but you give The Rock 5 minutes? I couldn't believe it. But now that we've got that out of the way, The Rock comes out and The Rock says that, and Roman Reigns, The Rock is a member of the Bloodline. And did you see The Rock's vest? Got the tiger on the back. That vest, according to the storyline, probably cost $1,000. $1,000 vest that The Rock's wearing. Chains around the neck. Different style sunglasses. The Rock is not only a heel, but he's back. This is The Rock that we know and love to hate. And he's back. And it's insane to me by just how dressing a little bit different and walking a little bit differently, it's like he's a completely different guy. The Rock looks and is talking and walking and just overall being The Rock better than he's been in like 20 years. I don't know what it is about this. and about this moment in wrestling history. But it's like he's The Rock again. When he came back and he did some stuff with the Hurricane, and then he came back and he did some stuff with John Cena, and when he came back and rescued Roman Reigns at one of those pay-per-views, I can't remember which one it was, that was nice, but that was Dwayne Johnson. Even up until the press conference last week, that was Dwayne Johnson. What we saw last night on SmackDown was The Rock. And The Rock is back. And The Rock is making jokes about the trailer park trash in Salt Lake City with their 50 wives and their 600 kids. If you smell what the Bloodline is cooking. And that iconic photo at the very end of SmackDown last night with The Rock holding up his finger, also weirdly in an L shape. I don't know if that was to call Cody Rhodes a loser or if The Rock just can't move his thumb. I don't know what the deal is. But to see The Rock join the Bloodline, how many of you sitting home thought that this would happen? Not many. I mean, and I got chills. The Rock joins the Bloodline. And all I could think about was how sort of full circle this is for The Rock. Remember, when people started to boo Rocky Maivia, he got pissed. And he joined the Nation of Domination. And he wasn't going to be Rocky anymore. It was just The Rock. And he told people to shut up. He told people that the sing-along is over, that he's the one talking. He joins the Nation of Domination. He joins as the young guy to be kind of risen up and lifted up in that group. And now, full circle, 20, 25 years later, however long it's been, now he's the elder. He's the high chief coming in to the Bloodline to kind of guide them. And he's swapped roles. Now he's the leader. And I don't think that's in question yet, is it? Who's the leader of the Bloodline? Roman Reigns is not the leader of the Bloodline anymore. It's The Rock. The Rock is the leader of the Bloodline. And under The Rock's direction, the Bloodline is not only going to get the WWE title secure, still, but what if The Rock has plans to have Jimmy and Solo get the tag titles back? Remember Paul Heyman last year when he said that they're just in the third inning of telling the Bloodline story? I mean, this could be just another inning in the Bloodline story of The Rock coming in and making sure that the Bloodline is the most dominant force and family in WWE. It's exciting. It's much more exciting, I think, than Rock versus Roman right now. Because was this WWE's original plan or was it not? Put it this way. So many people online are saying, wow, they really changed their mind. They really changed their mind. Let's talk about what the original plan, I guess, would have been. What would it have been? The Rock versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania? Okay, now The Rock was supposed to come in as a babyface in this assumption that this was not the plan. Who wins that match? The Rock's not going to win that match because at some point, Cody Rhodes still has to finish his story. So The Rock is going to go in. The Rock loses that match. And then what? The Rock just retires and where do you go from there? If that was their original plan, maybe they had some plan of where you go from there. I don't know. But that doesn't make sense to me because there's no, and then what? And if you remember like a year ago, or no, not a year ago, this was like October when The Rock was on Pat McAfee's show. He says, we were going to do it. Or he was on College Game Day or something. He says, we were going to do it, but we couldn't think of the long-term plan. Okay, remember that. The Rock is not in this just to have one match. He wants to have his match, and he wants to set up for the guy that he's having the match with, what is the next thing? In interviews that The Rock has done since then, he's always alluded to this fact that the main thing is that they want to figure out what is next. In the last interview he did before he showed up and challenged Roman Reigns to the WrestleMania match, people said, are we going to get it? Are we going to get it at WrestleMania 40? And he said, it's possible. We could see The Rock versus Roman Reigns, but what did he say? He says, I'm a guy who likes a slow build. Now, this was before all the Cody stuff. He said he's a guy who likes a slow build. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you, the jury, the case why this has been WWE's plan all along. Because think about how this story can go and how it actually makes sense as a long and developed story versus the alternative that we just get Rock and Roman at WrestleMania and The Rock rides off into the sunset. The Rock says that he likes a long-term plan. Look at this as a long-term plan. The Rock steps in after a year build of Cody Rhodes trying to finish his story at WrestleMania. The Rock steps in and says, step aside, Cody. I know you want to finish your story, but not right now, boy. I'm coming in to fight my cousin in the biggest WrestleMania match in history. And Cody has to just bow out of the way. Well, people don't like that. It's obviously not just. It's not fair. Had the people not freaked out about it, maybe we would have assumed for a while that we were getting Rocket Roman at WrestleMania until people start to convince Cody, no, that's your spot. Take your spot at WrestleMania, and maybe we would have seen Cody Rhodes versus The Rock at Elimination Chamber, and the winner gets to face Roman Reigns. That could have been a possibility. But what happened? The people freaked out, and they started, we want Cody. And WWE leaned into that. The change in direction was just to change the way that press conference worked out and to change how quickly Cody came around to ultimately saying that he wants to face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Because think of what we get now. The Rock turns heel. He joins the Bloodline. I believe that he is going to help Roman Reigns to retain the championship at WrestleMania, or at least that's how it would appear. And at the last second, when The Rock sees that the Bloodline just cheats to win all the time, I think that The Rock is going to have a change of heart and throw a rock bottom to Roman Reigns that will equal the score for Cody Rhodes. What does that do? That sends Roman Reigns into a spiral emotionally. He doesn't know what he believes now about the Bloodline or anything. The Bloodline members themselves, they don't know who the leader is. Is it The Rock? Is it Roman Reigns? And then we have a year. We have a year until the next WrestleMania to explore what happens with the Bloodline. And then next year at WrestleMania 41, it all culminates with the final chapter, The Rock versus Roman Reigns. That is long-term storytelling. And the last thing I have to say before we head out is, where's Rikishi? Now's the time to bring in Rikishi. You unify the Bloodline. Rikishi comes in. He gets Jay back into the Bloodline. The Bloodline is more powerful than ever. And we see the Bloodline dominating again until WrestleMania. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe so that you get a ding 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 every time that we have a new episode. Check out brawlingbuzz.com.